Welcome to this edition of the Reidsville Chamber of Commerce News and Views. I'm your host, Diane Sawyer, president of the Reidsville Chamber of Commerce. And today's guest is Heather Whitsett, and you are with the local YMCA, and you have a newer title, I think, than the last time I introduced you. So tell me your actual title and responsibility so I don't mess that up for everybody.
Well, I really just like to go as the YMCA lady.
Yes.
I would prefer that to be my official title.
Like it.
I'm the group VP for Rockingham County now. So I have responsibilities over Reidsville and Eden.
Yes.
Yep.
And I knew that, but I didn't know that I would say it correctly because I figured I would call you like the Rockingham County executive something or another, but I like Y lady. I think that works well.
I've been that for 20 years now. So
I cannot believe that it has been that long.
20
you don't
years
look a
July.
day over 20. So how have you been at the Y for 20 years?
Yeah. So I started with my son playing soccer 24 years ago, and we were volunteer coaches, and then we just became Y lifers. So one thing led to another. This July will be 20 years.
And that's what happens.
Yes.
Y lifers.
Yep.
And our branches here locally are also a part of the larger metro.
They are. They're part of the YMCA of Greensboro. And honestly, in times like this, it's such a blessing because Reidsville nor Eden's doors would still be open without the support of the YMCA of Greensboro. We weathered the pandemic very well. And of course, we had PPP and lots of government support. But once those programs started ending, it really impacted us. We lost about 50% of our membership base at both YMCAs because people had to make tough choices, and we completely understand. We're getting our members back. They're coming, but they're coming a little slowly. So with the support of Greensboro, we're able to still maintain the level of services that we can and continue to support the community. But again, without that support of having 8 branches pulling together, there are several of the branches, even in Guilford County as well, that wouldn't be able to operate.
So speaking of level of service, there's a lot of services that you guys offer. Right. But I know that this time of year, their spring sports are in full swing. Mm-hmm. Tell us about the things that you guys offer and what you're a part of.
Sure. So sports has hit the ground running, loving all of this rain, lots and lots of makeup games. I don't know that the kids will ever practice again. I think it'll just be makeup games.
Uh-huh.
But for the county, we have about 500 kids playing with spring soccer, t-ball, and baseball. T-ball and baseball, we're reinvigorating over in Eden. That had really dwindled, and we're trying to put some love back into that program and get it where it needs to be. Soccer for Reidsville is as large as it's been in the past 11 years. So that's awesome to see. We're right up at about 290 kids playing out at Lake Reidsville. And of course, we're blessed to be able to be out there. The fields just work great. And it also gives the city a lot of exposure because you're having an influx of, 400 people every weekend when you look at the kiddos and their parents and their grandparents and their aunties that come out. So it really, I think, is a win-win for both of us. But it's been awesome that we've been out there now probably 15 years, honestly. We graduated from playing at Moss Street Elementary, which I can't even wrap my head around. We had our little bitty fields to now we have 5 fields over at City Lake. So that's been a great partnership. So that's what we've got going on with sports. And of course, we are wrapping up our after school as we roll towards April, May, June. We have all of the kiddos at the Y this week for spring break. We have our spring break child care camp going on. And then we also have all of the teenagers in Reidsville in our basketball gym. So that's been fun. Lots of games. We really try to keep the kids active. We would rather have them in our doors than outside of our doors. And our kids are really great, honestly. And I think part of that is the staff at the Reidsville Y has been pretty consistent. So they all know us and we're all their Y moms. And we get a lot of respect, and I do appreciate that from our kids.
Yeah, I think that the Y, I just remember as a kid, like growing up in Eden, same thing. I played baseball with the boys at the Y in Eden. My brother and I came up through those programs, and like it's so just nostalgic to go over to the fields and to see, and it's different, too. Like it's grown, and things that very nice concession stand we didn't have when we were growing up, and there's and we walked right through soccer games and practices that were happening.
Right.
To get to all those extra fields. So, I mean, the Y's grown so much in Rockingham County, as you said, going from Moss Street to the lake with the fields, and Eden has expanded on their, they just have such a large property there and have...
very jealous of their campus.
Yeah.
Very jealous of their campus.
Yeah.
Really, it's been great being able to be involved with both branches, and it's brought some consistency to both. Because Eden did some things well that Reidsville didn't do. Reidsville did some things well that Eden didn't do. So to bring that consistency to both branches, I think, has been helpful. Eden also used to be the Spray, Draper, and Leaksville YMCAs. So there were multiple Ys. And my first visit to the Eden campus, I'm walking through the halls and actually see a picture of my dad on a baseball team when he was probably 10 years old. And that was amazing. But it just speaks to how long the Ys truly have been around.
Yeah, the tradition lasts a long time.
Yep.
And each little community is different because my cousins grew up going to the Boys and Girls Club. And so we were rivals playing, Y and Boys and Girls Club. And some of that still happens to this day. And then there's been partnerships over the years too, where some of the teams came together. And it's just a really tough time for youth sports when it comes to the rec level, because some have grown and are, doing really, really well. And then others have gone away to so much travel and you don't see, so it's a lot.
The biggest shift that I've seen, and again, I started off with my children playing, is back in the day, honestly, we overdid it with our kids. So our kids were playing Y and they were also playing travel, and they might be playing for a school team. And honestly, parents are getting a little smarter and they're not overscheduling their kids. So they're really trying to make them focus in on certain things, and I get it. That's not a negative, but it does take away your participation either in the rec level or in the travel level. They're really honing down and choosing one over the other. And that's really what we've seen as a difference.
It's funny that you say that. I had a mom this week on our travel softball team. Her child had stepped away from softball to go do gymnastics. And then she's like, but Mom, I want to do all the things. And she's like, honey, you can't do gymnastics and do all the things. So it's either all the things or gymnastics. And all the things transferred to, she wanted to play volleyball and softball as much as possible all year long, travel and rec or school or whatever. But, there are certain sports, swim, if you're a swimmer year long, or if you're, that can be rec for a summer or for a winter or whatever, but they also can be all year long. And so once a kid starts focusing in on one thing or dance or whatever, they're not going. Used to be when we were growing up, you played baseball in the spring. And then in the fall you played something different. And then in the summer you did, And
that was it.
So it's just interesting how much it's developed and changed.
For sure.
You've got always the next big thing, always planning ahead. You do a great job. And it's funny that you say the Reidsville were doing some, Eden were, and your campuses drove some of that, I think. Like Eden's campus probably drove things that they were doing well or not well with how much they had to take care of. And I feel certain like that your stuff indoors, you've upgraded a lot of stuff lately indoors. Tell us about that.
We have, and we have some exciting things happening, which I'm really excited about over the next, and it keeps getting pushed back because delivery, supply chain, yada yada. But we have $70,000 worth of new equipment coming in, and that is cardio, that's strength, it's a little bit of everything. So we're really excited about that. It's time for it. I mean, we need it, right? And again, with the support of the association, we're able to have that. We also received a $100,000 grant from North Carolina that's being administrated by the Alliance of the YMCA for North Carolina. We got to do some not fun stuff with that money, but it was needed. So $80,000 roof repair, new doors, new showers. Again, not fun, but definitely needed. And it had been deferred maintenance because when you're really putting your fingers in all the holes trying to make it continue to happen, you're repairing the roof, you're not replacing it.
That's right.
But by replacing the roof, now we can bring equipment in that we know is not going to get damaged, and we can do some painting on the interior, and we can do some things. So over the next little bit, we'll have our new equipment, we'll have some upgrades in painting, some upgrades in the locker rooms, and I only see that continuing, again, with a lot of input from our corporate office saying, hey, we do have our 2 aged branches in Rockingham County, but they're just as important. Eden has just recently, I don't know what the thought process was with that branch initially, but there was all the glass and metal in the lobby, and it was all chopped up. That is all gone.
Oh, wow.
It's completely open. The lobby's completely open, brand new flooring, getting new furniture, getting a new front desk. So we really are going to be comparable to our YMCA of Greensboro branches, and we need to be. Because our YMCAs are just as important as the newer ones that are in Guilford County.
Yeah, I remember coming through the door, coming through the turnstile and scanning your card and then going through the door. And so that's all gone.
It is.
Oh, wow. I'll have to go visit.
Yeah, take a visit. We're doing good things.
You guys are always doing good things. Like ever since I can remember, I was part of Eden, but then when I came to Reidsville to do this job, like I've always been amazed by like how great the Reidsville branch does with their members and reaching out to their members and doing different things. You've got some great programs that you've been able to keep up, and one of the biggest is this summer is coming. Tell us about what's up for the summer.
It's coming, and it's started early, which is great.
Good.
But we've had to pull in additional lifeguards. The Reidsville Community Pool is bursting at the seams.
Wow.
Last Friday and last night, for whatever reason, all the families wanted to be in the pool, and that's a great problem to have. So we do have several of our directors are also lifeguard certified, so we have our lifeguard on the stand, but we're able to pull in additional directors because our ratio is 1-25 because safety is utmost important. But we can up that ratio if we have another lifeguard on the stand, so we've been doing that. But of course, we are prepping for summer camp. We have a max of about 36 participants for that weekly, and we're getting close to some of those maxes in some of our weeks. We have Jen Stadler, who has been on board with us for about a year and a half, and she has responsibilities in child care and aquatics, and she has really done an awesome job. Again, with the support of Greensboro, we've added an entire social emotional learning component to both our after school and our summer camp, because what we've seen, and it's what everyone's seen, it's not special to the Y, but our pandemic babies who were kindergartners and first graders did not learn how to people. They have a very low empathy score. They really do think it's all about them. And so we've had to put in a lot of work to build these kids back up to where they should be, not having 2 years of peopling, right? They were around the same.
You're saying my kindergartner doesn't know, my COVID kindergartner is now a third grader?
Yes.
You mean that she doesn't know how to people? Right. Oh, yeah.
It's just true.
It's true.
And we have to support them, and we have to educate them, because you can't just say, they're not ever going to people. Okay, they're going to have to.
Yeah, the
people.
tears are real.
They are. They are.
They're real and they're not going away.
And the behaviors have been things that we have never seen before. And then the kids that do know how to people are lacking a little empathy because they're like, what is wrong with these children? Right? So they don't understand it as well, and we get that. So navigating through all that has been challenging, and Jen has used some specific curriculum that has really been helpful. We've had some children in the past that honestly may have been removed for behavioral issues that we've been able to work through, and we've been able to keep them engaged in the program. And we're doing a lot of structure because that's what they need. We're going to do this for 12 more minutes, and then we're going to start on this, and then we're going to start on this. And we've really learned how to group the children in the most positive groupings. There's going to be some children, honestly, that aren't going to get along. They're not. And so you have to pivot. You have to be aware enough to realize that and know that they're not going to be the best versions of themselves if they're in the same small group.
I think some of our businesses need that for our adults.
Right.
I think that if we could just, because we have some COVID adults, I think, who don't know how to people anymore.
Right? We just want to Zoom. We want to sit in our PJs.
Oh my gosh.
For the people that are able to Zoom.
It's so funny to me that because some people think Zoom's the greatest thing that's ever been invented. And then other people are like, I thought this meeting was in person. I'm like, and I'm good with either. I like people meetings, but I also realize the ease and the functionality of, and I'm sure for you all with Metro, like meetings, like now, like if you guys want to Zoom for something, nobody has to travel, So it's good to travel, and it's good to get out of the office, and it's good to see other people, but it's also good when you need to be efficient and get things done.
We're doing it mixed. So we're doing some in-person and we're doing some virtual. The conversation is always going to be better in person.
For sure.
Because you're not stepping on each other.
Yeah.
You can see when someone's getting ready to speak. But the virtual really does help because Jeremy Tesh is the exec over in Eden. Eden to Greensboro is a hike. It really is. So you're really, if you have an hour and a half meeting. I did it
every day for 5 years to UNCG.
Right. When I was at the Bryan Y, same. And it's just, you have to build that in, but you have so many other things that you need to be doing at the branch. So the virtual options have been very helpful.
They are helpful. So how do people get involved in the summer camp if they're not a Y member, but they're looking for childcare? Like, how does that work, and how can they find out about what you have going on this summer?
Sure. So ReidsvilleYMCA.org is our website, and there's a plethora of information on that site. We actually have pivoted to a new software platform that makes navigating that website online a little easier, registration online a little easier. The first time, honestly, can be a little bumpy because we have to get you set up. So if you're having any trouble navigating online, just give us a call. We can reset your password. We can tell you which email you signed signed up with, we can help you make that happen. But you can register for after school, you can register for summer camp. And again, summer camp's getting a little sparse, so if you're going to do that, you need to go ahead and do that. We already have our summer camp theme set. So if you're not using it for childcare, let's say you just need it for an experience for your child, peopling, then you can choose the weeks based on your child's interest in maybe whatever field trip we're going to do. And again, this will be our second summer post-COVID that field trips are a thing. So that's fantastic.
And we have transportation.
And we have transportation.
All the things. Well, so what kind of stuff are they doing?
So we're doing a lot. We're actually taking advantage of the Eden campus as well. We should. So for the spring break camp this week, they went over and did the Greenway in Eden. They took a trip to the Reidsville Fire Department, and that was a lot of fun. Apparently the firemen were peppered with all kinds of questions, and the question, do you ever get cats out of trees, came up several times. I didn't even know kiddos these days wouldn't know that was a thing. That seems like...
I think it's still in books. I think that's probably, where they get that idea, but yes, that's hilarious.
Yeah. One of the new field trips that Jen added last year that I'm trying to be a chaperone for this year is the planetarium in Greensboro. It's on a college campus, and they got a backstage tour. So they got the planetarium show, and the professor actually took them back to see what the back part of the planetarium looks like when the lights are on. And it's amazing. And so the kids loved that. My father-in-law is our school bus driver, and they had to ask him to stop asking questions. It's for the kids because he was so excited about the trip. But that's a new one that we've added last year that every parent wants their kid to go on that trip because it's just different. It's not something that's done all the time. We went to Haw River State Park. We'll do that again.
That is such a great, I think people don't even realize that it's partially in Rockingham County.
Yep.
And then with the new, it's not new anymore, but the newest access on Church Street.
Yep.
It's so much closer to us, really.
It is. And in speaking about the association, we actually had our last association thing at Haw River State Park,
which is such a fabulous site.
It's fantastic for us because our board members are staff from Eden, from Reidsville. It's pretty
a good halfway.
It really is. Ragsdale, it's a little bit of a jaunt, but it was great. And we had Rockingham County showed out, and we had a lot of participation because I basically said, hey, they're giving us this olive branch, let's do it. In the past that we had done Bryan Park, which is also helpful,
it is,
but not as close. Again, we were talking about our Eden board members who may live in Madison. It's a hike.
It is a hike.
We did utilize that, but I think it's a hidden gem. People just don't know it's there. They don't know it's there for conferences. They don't know it's there for the science walks, nature walks. It's great.
I'm having a hard time recalling, but I was there for an activity, and I don't remember what for a few years ago, like pre-COVID, because everything now is pre or post-COVID, right? But I remember thinking, I don't feel like, and I'm staring at it. We have it in our rack right there, the summit. We have the map here, and so I brought that back, and I was just like, we really need to promote this. Like when people are asking for venues or where to do things, and I think you can rent the swimming pool there.
You can.
I think recently somebody said that one of the graduation, like 8th grade or whatever, had a party there, had a swim party there. So I was like, it's just it is a hidden gem. So.
I actually worked there pre-YMCA when it was the Episcopal Center.
Oh, yeah.
But no, it's just a great resource because your family reunions, birthday parties, class, it's a good thing.
It is. Let's talk about, speaking of pools, let's talk about, you said bursting at the seams, but you called it the community pool. And I think a lot of people don't know the history and why it's called that and who can access it. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So it is for the community of Reidsville. It's for the city of Reidsville. We receive a lot of support for the community pool from the city of Reidsville. A group of concerned citizens came together and said, hey, we don't have this option. We don't have an indoor pool for our community. I don't know that we necessarily need to build one on our own. We have a Y. Can we do a collaboration? At Jay Donaker, Liz Luking, a lot of key people came together really to make that happen. And I think we're on our 24th year. I'll fact check that and find out. But we're doing well. And with the collaboration, it's pretty seamless. They allow the YMCA to program the pool, but we're the only YMCA that has tiered rates. So we have a member rate, we have a Reidsville City resident rate, and we have a community member rate. Because tax money does help pay for the community pool, therefore it should be cheaper for Reidsville City residents, and it is. And that's everything from swim lessons, water aerobics, anything that's offered in the pool, there's a city rate for that.
Which is awesome. And how can people, is all of that laid out really well on the website?
It is. And as we're getting ready to pivot into the summertime, it's super important for our community members to really access that and look at the community pool schedule, because we do have so much going on. We have summer camp, we have our water aerobics, that the community pool has open swim hours, because obviously we can't have a whole bunch of kiddos in the pool at the same time that we're having either swim lessons or water aerobics.
Right.
So you need to pay attention to that, and kiddos are allowed in the pool anytime that you see an open swim time frame.
Gotcha. Yep. Okay, awesome. So that is really helpful information. We have a few minutes left. Is there anything that you want to talk about that we haven't covered? Any new program, any new ask, any new what's going on?
So we have a really nice program that I enjoy. It's a small program. We really limit it to about 10 participants, and it's called our Teens in Action program. It's 2 3-week sessions during the summer. And what we saw several years ago, even pre-pandemic, is there are a lot of teens in our community that can't afford the YMCA. When you can't afford the YMCA, we have a financial assistance system that kicks into place. But we were having a hard time getting parents to fill out the paperwork that's required to be able to do that. Because again, we're asking questions. We want to make sure that if we're using our donors' money, we're using it correctly. But the kids couldn't get their parents really to fill out that. So we want them in our doors, right? We want them there. They're coming and giving us $5 of change every day that we know that they're scrounging for, when a teen membership is only $21 for an entire month. So we go through an application process for Teens in Action, and really what it is trying to get the teens peopling and the teens really interacting with adults and ready to make that next step, whether that be college interviews, job interviews. We have financial literacy components. They do a lot of volunteering with our summer camp program. So we're part of Rockingham County Schools feeding program, and so the teens will help set that up, clean it up. They help with our kids navigating through different parts of the YMCA. We worked in the past with Home Trust with some financial literacy with First Citizens as well. And we really try to help them grow a little bit. And you can see it. They won't look us in the eye the week 1. And then week 3, they're like, hey, what do you need me to do now? What can I do now? And you really see them come out of their shell. And again, that's allowing the kids, didn't mention this, if they're accepted into the program, their membership is free. The program is free, their membership is free. So that's how we're giving these children access to the Y during the summer, when they need to be in the Y and they don't need to be everywhere else. So that's a program that's near and dear to my heart. The rest of the association is going to pilot that. So Reidsville kind of started the program, and it'll roll out through the YMCA of Greensboro.
That is such an awesome program.
It's good. We've seen a lot of changes, and we're seeing teens who went through that are now coming back being summer camp counselors. And you and I have spoken. We are still struggling with staff. So any type of funnel, any type of pipeline that we can build for that, we're gonna build that.
Because it's going to continue to be an issue.
It is.
It hasn't gone away.
No.
And I'm mind boggled by it. Like, I have studied, I have read about it. Like, I don't know how folks are making things work. I really just don't. And we're having to cut back hours and change programs.
Yep.
And, so, I mean, it's gotten better, but I don't see that it's going to be ever the way that it was before, because people are just doing things differently. There was a huge shift to working from home and doing things, starting their own businesses or finding other ways to make money. And, just people reevaluated life.
They did.
And life changed to, I don't want to work for somebody else, or I don't want a Monday through Friday 9 to 5.
Right.
Or I do want a Monday through Friday 9 to 5. I don't want to work weekends and evenings anymore. And so, it makes it difficult. And then these people who are now teens and now coming into young adults who need to work, they weren't getting those things that would train them like what you're talking about. And so they missed a huge gap. And so there's this gap in the workforce that we're not backfilling. And we were already having issues. And people forget that. Like, we were losing trades, plumbers and electricians, and because they weren't being, brought into those fields. And so now we're going, we need to think about that. And so I think that all of it together is just a lot, and it compounds.
And it's not just us.
Oh, no.
I mean, again, part of the association, the YMCA of Greensboro now has a recruiter. Would have never thought that the YMCA of Greensboro would have a recruiter, but all of the branches are struggling. I've closed the Eden Y twice this week. It's just front desk, lifeguards, childcare, across the board. We can use that to help, and we have full-time and part-time opportunities. And in the day, a full-time YMCA job was pretty coveted. I had to work a while part-time to be able to slide in there. So to have full-time and part-time openings it was a rarity. Now it's a norm.
It's mind-blowing to me. I remember looking for a job
Yes.
out of college.
Right.
Would have loved to have had a YMCA full-time job.
I've reached out to my children who are now 28, 25, and 22. I'm just like, you have to have a friend that wants a good full-time job. You have to. So
Yeah. I mean, what else do you do?
Right.
And, you know, when you say shut down the branch, like, if you don't have a lifeguard, you can shut down the pool. But if you don't have somebody to work the front desk, what are you supposed to do?
Exactly.
That's a lot. So
Full-time staff has picked up a lot of that slack, and that is fine to a point. But I love my coworkers, and I don't want to see them burned out, and I want to see them stay with the Y long term. And we just need to keep them supported. So we need
absolutely. Well, I think that some of the programs and the things that we're continuing to work on, I hope, you know, we've brought back our topics at 12 and some of our seminars and the CPR certification, like why your business should have CPR certified folks in it. We're going to have one on that. Probably going to bring back active shooter again, because as terrible as it is to talk about, it is a reality.
It's a reality.
And it's something that businesses and organizations need to prepare for and need to have a plan for. And some people still in this day don't have a plan. So, you know, we just need to figure that stuff out. So, well, we are down to just a couple of minutes. Is there anything else that we haven't covered that you want to talk about, or any reminders or bring it home point?
Well, we would like to thank the Chamber for constant support. We felt it. We know you're here. You know, we're here. You're here when we need you. You always are. And it's nice to know that that's a constant in our community. Of course, not only for the Y, but for all of the city of Reidsville and our community.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
Small business, large business, nonprofits, you really are there, and people know it.
Well, we appreciate it.
The Chamber's a jewel in our community, and I do think that people realize that.
Thank you. And, you know, as a former board member, both reciprocal on both sides, you guys do so much. And for us to both be nonprofit organizations and need that sort of support, it's nice to know that people have your back. And you guys are Chamber champions and have been for a long time, and we appreciate your support and the ability for us to just pick up the phone or text when there's an issue or figure it out. So, I mean, we're all in this together. We were just on a call this week where city marketer Judy Arbo said it again. She was like, we are Team Reidsville. Like all of us together make up Team Reidsville and make this a successful community. And there's a lot of growth coming. And you know, I think you're going to see the effects of it. We have, in every show I've had in the last couple months, we've mentioned casino was coming, casino was coming. And we've got people who are moving here, people who are going to work in the casino, and they're going to have families, and they're going to have needs for things like the Y. And so I think we're going to continue to see that growth. And as the interstate finishes and people are coming through and driving out, and Reidsville's just going to grow more. So
for sure,
I think your job and my job is going to get even bigger and better
even
and
more
grand and even more fun. So, well, tell people again what that website is, where you're located, how to find you, any of that stuff.
Absolutely. So it's reidsvilleymca.org, and we're at 504 South Main Street. You can always pick up the phone. There'll be a friendly voice there to answer any questions. That's 336-342-3307.
Thank you again so much, YMCA lady.
That's me.
I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. That is all for today's News and View shows. As normal, you can find us downtown at the intersection of Gilmer and South Scales at 140 South Scales Street. You can find us on all of our social media pages, Reidsville Chamber and Reidsville Visitor Center. And that is all for today. Thank you. Stay tuned. See you soon.